The Ecclesiastical History of Zacharias Rhetor. The Syriac chronicle known as that of Zachariah of Mitylene is a 6th-century manuscript, the work of Zacharias Rhetor, obtained by the British Museum on the 11th of November 1847. It was accessible in the British Museum Library and now in the Asian and African Studies reading room of the British Library at St Pancras, London. The Ecclesiastical History is a historical work in Syriac which has been published by Dr. Land under the title of Zachariah of Mitylene's Aliorum K Scripta Historica Grace Plerum K Deperdita. This chronicle bears no author's name, but is simply entitled, A Volume of Records of Events Which Have Happened in the World. Research has determined, nevertheless, that it is the work of Zacharias, a monophysite Christian from 6th century, or at least an epitome of it. The first book discusses the book of Genesis and contains the tale of Joseph and Asenath, the Acts of Pope Sylvester and the narrative of the discovery of the relics of Stephen, Gamaliel, and Nicodemus, among other stories. From the second book onward contains the Acts of the Seven Sleepers and the historical narrative from the Synod of Constantinople in 448, to the capture of Rome in 536. The books 2 to 6 are almost entirely ecclesiastical, but the last books concern also secular matters, particularly on the relations between Rome and Persia. It has been suggested by Professor Barry Wilson and Simcha Jacobovici that the manuscript tells the tale of Jesus and Mary Magdalene under the pseudonyms of Joseph and Asenath. According to the text, the two were married and had 2 children. The encrypted tale is suggested to have been based on a lost gospel that escaped being destroyed during the time of the first Christian emperor, Constantine. These claims, however, have been contested by scholars. The text of Zacharias tells the familiar story of Joseph and Asenath. This tale is based on the life of the patriarch Joseph, son of Jacob. When Joseph was released from prison, he got married to Asenath, daughter of a priest of Heliopolis. The text itself is not a gospel or a lost text as suggested by Wilson and Jacobovici. Instead, it is a well-known text, discussed since the 19th century. The story of Joseph and Asenath was composed to solve the problem of Joseph, a Hebrew patriarch, marrying a non-Israelite woman. Therefore the tale was composed to clear up the problem. The love story of Joseph and Asenath explains that Joseph's wife Asenath first converted to monotheism and belief in the Hebrew God before she married Joseph. The text of Zacharias adds to this an allegorical interpretation. Asenath is the soul and Joseph is the Logos, the Son of God. In this twist on the old story, Wilson and Jacobovici based their interpretation. As Robert Cargill points out in his review, the book's methodology is highly problematic. Scholars won't reject Mr. Jacobovici's findings because of some theological trauma or a confessional apologetic desire to preserve the Jesus described in the Bible. The problem is not a theological one, it is one of scholarship, methodology, and the use of evidence. Scholars won't reject Mr. Jacobovici's claims because they want to defend Christianity. Scholars will reject Mr. Jacobovici's speculations because he engages in circular reasoning, lacks evidence, breaks any number of rules of textual criticism, and engages in speculation wrapped in hearsay, couched in conspiracy, masquerading as science, ensconced in sensationalism, slathered with misinformation.